So let's get started. So ProX, you can sum it up with a couple of different categories here, or a couple of different traits. And it's going to be these five right here. We call them our X factors. And so since our product line is called ProX, they just thought, hey, it sounds cool if we put X in front of everything. So that list right there is going to be your X deterrence, X POE, X search, X tracking, and X boost. And I will talk about those in the upcoming slides here. So the first one, X deterrence. So X deterrence is what we're calling our active deterrence. So active deterrence is going to have your flashing lights, it's going to have your audio. And so if we're looking at it, here are the key features. First one is going to be that it does have our color 24/7 technology. So what that means is it does have a sensor and an aperture that captures the color imaging at super low lights. So whereas the ones before, we would have like IR, which gives you that black and white image. Of course, everybody wants color these days, the best color ever. And so these cameras, they do have that technology. As far as the AI side, we do have MD 2.0, which is your motion detection 2.0. And what that does is it reduces your false alarms. So it has your human and vehicle filtering on there. So no longer are we having the days where we actually have to sit there and scroll through hours of footage at a time. Hybrid illumination is also a feature on these cameras. So hybrid illumination is where the cameras, they are capable of doing color, but if you're in a low light area, you would have to have that light that's built into the camera turned on. If you don't want that light pollution, hybrid illumination mode is going to be the next best thing. Because the way that works is it's going to be in IR mode, so it's going to be black and white until it gets triggered by a detection, like a person walking in front of the camera or a vehicle, and then it turns on the white light. It gives you that instant color image. So active deterrence, which we talked about, so it's the red and blue flashing lights. If y'all seen our older, or not older, but like our other models that has the white flashing light, a lot of people were asking, they wanted the red and blue flashing lights. So now we have brought those to these products. And last but not least, since these do have the microphone and it does have a speaker, you are able to do your two-way audio because, you've got the active deterrence, which makes that sound like your siren, your voice messages, and we are also able to use those speakers for your two-way audio. Any questions? Yes. No, it's not. It's not PRR. It doesn't have a PRR sensor on there. So what it is you set your detection type. So either your motion detection, your line crossing intrusion. And so whenever it detects that, it uses that as a trigger. Sees the person, and that's what clicks the light on and off. Yes.
What distance is that? Does it kick in for reactions?
Well, once something comes into its field of view, that's when it clicks the light on. But remember, at night, it's starting off with the IR, so it's going to be black and white. So even though you don't have the white light on, you're still able to see. It's giving you a black and white image because there's no white light on. But, whenever it gets that trigger, that's when it will turn on the light. So in one way, you can say that it's using it to light up the area to get that color image. But you can also think of it as like, those motion sensing floodlights? Same thing. So the light comes on, people are like, hey, what is that? They look up, you got a good shot of their face. Any other questions? All right, so let's keep moving along. So one other feature that these cameras have are going to be your dual mic array. So a lot of our equipment, they do have multiple mics. It's for like noise canceling. This does the same thing. So it gets rid of a lot of the environmental noises, like your wind noises and any other noise that really will make it hard to understand speech or anything that's going on in the area. And so we did talk about they do have the red and blue flashing lights for the X deterrence. And I do have a video clip right here that is showing that. So these two models right here are our X deterrent cameras. So they will have the flashing lights. And here is that video clip. So we have the area. The person walks into the area and you will notice that it is flashing the red and blue lights. You can actually go into the camera and adjust how fast that it switches. So we got it set pretty pretty slow here, but you can have it flash faster. Next, we're going to be talking about our XPOE. So XPOE is it's like so. So if you are running the camera, by default, it is going to have a max distance of 320 feet. And so at 320 feet, you do have a speed of 100 megabits per second of data transfer. On a standard extended mode, you are up to 820 feet, but that drops your data down to 10 megabits per second. So if you are using higher resolution cameras like 8 megapixel and up, that 10 megabits per second will be your bottleneck there. So that's where this comes in. With our Pro X equipment, we do have an extended range of going up to your 980 feet. But at that 980 feet, you are getting the full 100 megabits per second. We can take it a step further because we do have certain XPOE cameras that is for that extended range. If you're doing that, you're able to go up to 2,620 feet. This is using one cable, so it's sending the power, it's sending your data, but the downside on that is you are limited to 10 megabits per second. So, yes. We've tested it using Cat 5, but it will work for Cat 6 also. Of course, you know, with the Cat 6, since you have the thicker conductors, then it guarantees that you are able to get that full distance. Next, let's talk about X-Search. X-Search, I'm just going to kind of briefly talk about it because we have another presentation coming up later on that's going to be more in depth. So X-Search is kind of a searching style or an AI for that. So what it does is it detects the people, and what it also, if you're trying to kind of put in layman's terms, it looks at the outfit. So what color outfit, like the pants, the shirt, or whatever, what physical attributes, but it's not actually taking a snapshot of the face. So the facial, it does use that to recognize. But using that X search, you are able to kind of find the person, and it was able to go track through multiple different cameras to see where that person has gone. So this would be a feature that's usually useful for, let's say, shopping centers, shopping malls, if you're trying to find like lost kids, or you know where certain packages went if they disappeared and grew legs and walked off. All right, we also have X tracking. So tracking, we have two different ways of doing that. The first one is going to be the E tracking, which is going to be on the left-hand side, and the camera that supports that is going to be our 180-degree camera. So here, let me play a video clip of that in motion. Oops, actually playing the other one. So yeah, this is the one where we have the PTZ. The PTZ is using your smart tracking, and what it's doing is it actually follows the person until the person kind of goes out of its field of view. And then for the 180 degree, we'll have that playing shortly. And so you notice that this is going to be like one image. So it's two lenses on that camera. It stitches it together in the very middle, and you get that one image. So this is only using one cable for the camera, so it's not using two because it's got two lenses. It's still using that one cable to power it up. But with the E-tracking turned on, you'll notice that we have three different boxes there, and each one of the boxes on the bottom is going to be following different people that are walking into that area. And this is actually a feature that's on the camera side. So there's really nothing in the image that's moving. It's doing all that processing in the camera itself, and it's loading the tracking on the screen there.
How many people can you actively track?
The most we've seen was like 8 or 9 people. But yeah, that's anything above that. If you try to do that tracking, it's not really going to know who to follow. So it's just a random jumble of mess.
So if you see these right here, you say, I want to track this person, that person.
Yeah, because you see right here, we've got different zones. So before where you have like the boxes on there, those are like different zones that it's tracking from. So anytime a person goes into a certain box, then we've got one of those sections going to be following that person. All right, let's talk about XBoost. XBoost, I would say, is one of the uh, more popular or the most important features that we have on this. And so what that means is when you have XBoost, you know, like we have a lot of the recorders that they're able to do the AI on the back end. So on the recorder side, so you can run more like basic cameras that really don't have any type of detection and have the recorder do all the lifting. So but usually those are limited. So it's limited to like, okay, you have to be using the certain camera with that recorder. But on this one, we've got these options right here. It does not require you to use a Pro X camera with our Pro X recorder. You can actually use any third-party camera using OnVIF, add it to the recorder, and it's able to do the detections. And so some of the detections that it's able to do is going to be first the face recognition. We've got the VCAs meaning like your line crossing, your intrusion. We also have your MD 2.0, which is your motion detection 2.0. When you go into the recorder, you will notice that go into the detection method, you will see these boxes right here. See the first one right here, it says smart recorder function. So if the camera does not have the AI, then you want to set it to the recorder to be doing all the AI processing. So you would set it to your smart recorder function. The middle example, you will see that it says smart camera function. If you have it set to smart camera function, then the camera itself is going to be doing all the processing and it sends the information over to the recorder for a logging. And so, yeah, here's another example with the motion detection 2.0 where you've got those two options here. All right, so that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions over anything I went over? Oh, the last one? Oh, the last one meaning the XBoost. So XBoost, yeah, you can use any camera that does not have your AI in there. It adds that ability to those cameras, or you can add a third-party camera using OnVIF. And since you're using OnVIF, none of the AI on the camera transfers over. Yeah, because the camera will still try to send that information over, but the recorder doesn't know what to do with that metadata. So it's not going to be used. So in this instance, we have the AI being processed on the recorder. And so, yeah, the recorder itself just does all the heavy work.
What software do you use? What is advantage or what? What is it using? It's not using V3 software. What is it using?
Yeah, this is not going to be using the NVMe V3. So with the Pro X, it's going to be using the X Station software. So X Station is going to be on the computers, and then on your mobile devices, it's going to be your LTS Pro X. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? All right. So uh, with that, we'll be ending it for this. I've got Marc here with Western Digital. He's going to be talking about these storage solutions and how that will be beneficial to use with our equipment.
The new 4K camera technologies, most of your installations are looking at or considering 4K cameras now. What you don't often think about is the additional storage capacity and space that you need to be able to support those cameras. The 4K resolution is about 7 times the pixels over a full HD or 1080p image. You have some compression technologies, H.265, H.265 plus, that compresses that video stream down. But the general rule of thumb is when you're moving from full HD up to 4K 8 megapixel cameras, about 2 to 3 times the storage space. And there are calculators that are on WD website where you can go plug in the parameters, your camera resolution, your streams, your frames per second, and you can get an idea for the capacity that you'll need to actually support those cameras going in. So 4K cameras, it's not always just plug and play. You have to upgrade storage. If you don't upgrade the storage, then you're going to have to dial something else back. You're going to have to drop the frames per second back, drop the bit rate down, and so you're going to end up with lower quality video, which kind of defeats the purpose of going to the 4K cameras. And then AI video analytics. Lewi talked all about active deterrence, all the X factors, and some really impressive AI technology. You're seeing that everywhere in the industry here at the show. And the amount of data that's generated by analytics is really increasing rapidly. And you have to make sure that your storage can support that, not only in the amount of storage space capacity, but also into performance. What you'll see is coming from cameras, you'll typically have a primary stream, an auxiliary stream, but then you'll have metadata streams, which can be alarm data and camera health information as examples. But you'll also have a lot of these analytics operate off of picture streams. So you're not actually operating and looking through the main primary video stream as it's writing in. Often the analytics are compared on picture frames, which is just picture frames and looking for subtle changes in the different frames. That can be another stream that's coming from the camera. So all of these are going from the camera to the recorder and then have to go to the storage without dropping frames. It's really important to consider all of that. And then lastly, days of retention, while it's not a technology, we've seen so much regulation and best practices really increasing the amount of days of retention that some of your customers are requiring. And customers always want to say, hey, let's just go to 30 days or 60 or 90 days. But every time you move up and you double the days of retention, you're doubling the amount of storage space and storage capacity that you need. So at Western Digital, we've created a line of products, which is called WD Purple. There are 3 different versions of it. One is a micro SD card, which goes up to 1 terabytes in the small micro SD space. And that micro SD card, it's not the same card that you would go to buy at a retail store or outlet. We hear from customers all the time and installers that say they went to Best Buy, they installed, the card was printed, it said high endurance on the outside of it. High endurance, that's really a marketing term. There's the way that the SSD technology works and that the flash storage works is that we write through every single cell of the flash memory, and once it's filled up all the way to terabyte, we erase everything and we start over again 0 when we write it way back again. When we go, that's called a program erase or a PE cycle. So that is one of the ratings that you don't see printed on any of the micro SD cards. On micro SD cards, you see a lot of different class 10 grade numbers, the micro SD XC. So you see a lot of different stamps and all those. Those all have to do with performance of the drive. They don't have anything to do with the reliability or the endurance of that drive. So what we ask is when you're looking at your video surveillance for your in-camera storage installations, look at the spec sheet or the data sheet from the company and look for the PE cycles. 500 program erase cycles is the minimum that we recommend for the video surveillance applications. That just means you can fill up the entire card, erase it, start over again, up to 500 times. Then we move on to storage for recorders and gateways, and that's WD Purple. And WD Purple has been in the market for about 10 years now, so it's and it really is designed specifically for video surveillance applications. So it's not a desktop drive that has a nice colored label on it. It was designed for video surveillance to run 24/7, and we tune the performance of this drive to be just for video surveillance. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then the high end, we have Purple Pro hard drives, and they scale all the way up to 24 terabytes now. We're just introducing the 24 terabyte Purple Pro drive here at the show. And this is really an enterprise class hard drive. So it's the same drives that you would see in the data centers, so in the cloud storage systems. But what we do differently, we don't have the same firmware, because when video surveillance, we're writing all the incoming video streams, these data streams, these analytic streams coming in. So we really tune this drive specifically for video surveillance to be able to write a lot of data really fast so that we don't lose and drop any frames. And the other thing about this drive on the hard drive has up to a 5-year warranty. So if you have installations where the recorders have a 5-year warranty, Your software licenses are set for 5 years. Sometimes it makes sense just to make sure that the storage and hard drive has that 5-year lineup as well. Now, all of the hard drives are built with what we call our all-frame technology. That's really a fancy name for the firmware that runs, and it's really the tuning and how the drive performs. But it's especially important for video surveillance, where we have all these incoming streams that we talked about. Video streams, picture, metadata streams are coming in. And what we'll do with frame on the drives, the Purple and the Purple Pro hard drives, we'll monitor all of the streams that are coming in. And if you have a lot of information coming in at the same time, we build the hard drives with a large amount of cache. It's basically like a parking lot or waiting area for the incoming video and data streams. And so what we'll do on the Purple drives is, if we start to see the cache filling up, we'll go ahead and grab that data while at the same time while we're streaming the primary video streams in. We'll go ahead and just occasionally go to the cache and grab like picture data or metadata streams that are much smaller, and we'll just flip the read and write head over to the information to the other parts of the disk, and then flip back. And so the end result is that we're not losing any of the video data that's coming in. And that's most important, as if you go to play back an evidence file and you have stuttery or jittery playback, most of you are shaking your head. It's happened to you before. Or, worse yet, you have segments of the video that are missing. So that's what Purple and Purple Pro hard drives are designed to do, is to ensure that you don't have frame drops and you can have full motion video playback. I'll show you here a quick video about all frame. All right, and as I mentioned earlier, we're just introducing right now our 24 terabyte Purple Pro hard drive. So it really is an enterprise class hard drive built with the highest standards of reliability, performance as well. And what can you do with the 24 terabytes? So if your customers ask, how many cameras can I support with a 24 terabyte hard drive? When you go through the calculator, you can support up to 24 4K cameras that are operating at a very smooth 24 frames per second playback. And you can store that footage for up to 24 days and still have a little bit of room left over as well. But that's easy to remember. You can store with the 24 terabyte, 24 4K cameras at 24 frames per second for 24 days. So that's the Purple Pro 24 terabyte, the largest capacity hard drive available for video surveillance. All right, and just again to touch on the Purple micro SD cards as well, available up to 1 terabyte space. And not only are they built with that high endurance, but they're also rated for high temperature and humidity, for temperature hot and cold as well. So they're installed into cameras. And so again, that's another difference than a card that you would just buy at a retail spot or location. We do have a video that's on YouTube that you can see that shows a comparison of the lifespan of a retail card versus a card that's built just for video surveillance. So with WD, whether it's micro SD card, the Purple drives meant for mainstream recorders or for high-end server applications that now go up to 24 terabytes, you can keep up with the technology trends, 4K cameras, AI video analytics, as well as offering your customers lots of days of storage retention. So any questions before we wind things down? I think the bar is still open if somebody had that question. I'd like to thank you all very much today, and thanks for considering WD Purple for video surveillance storage. Thank you.